Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about some of the themes of the prior seasons and discuss whether they were kind of a hit or a flop. We're also then going to transition into some ideas for Season 28 and what the dev team can do to entice people to play and stay committed leading into Diablo 4. So we're going to start with Season 14. If you did not know, Season 14 was the first season where they actually introduced seasonal themes. Seasons 1 through 13 were more so focused on adding new items and kind of just developing the game all around. Unfortunately, Season 14 was kind of a flop. Their first seasonal theme was double goblins. Whenever you ran into a treasure goblin, instead you would run into two. There were some limitations to this. For example, if you found like a goblin pack, it wouldn't be twice the size. But all this really did was kind of allow us to gear out a little bit quicker, and it didn't add much to the game, so it was kind of a flop and just not that exciting. Unfortunately, Season 15 was kind of the same thing. It was a nice, convenient, quality of life theme. However, it just wasn't enough to really add more to the game. Season 15 gave us double bounty bags for each time that we completed the 5 bounties in an act. It was nice, but not particularly innovative, so let's go ahead and move on to Season 16. I would argue that Season 16 is where they actually kind of started to bring out these good season themes. In Season 16, we got a free Ring of Royal Grandeur bonus. Whether or not we were wearing it or had it in our cube, it was just given to all characters. So effectively, all this really did is allow us one more ring slot that we don't necessarily have to waste on a Ring of Royal Grandeur. This was the first season theme where it actually felt like Blizzard was directly adding power to our characters. It was nice being able to take certain builds to the next level. Season 17, on the other hand, was kind of the opposite. Instead of a Ring of Royal Grandeur bonus, we all got a free Legacy of Nightmares bonus. This is similar to the Legacy of Dreams, so effectively, it was encouraging us to make builds that are not based on sets. This was a really nice way to mix things up because this game has been all about sets for such a long time, and so this was a really refreshing season that kind of let us try other things. When compared to the seasons of the past, I would say that Season 17 was the best that we had had so far. For Season 18, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, we had the Triune bonus. Similar to the Oculus Ring circles, this created these certain circles of different colors on the ground, and based on the color, it gave a different effect to your character while you were standing in it. The pink one provided a 100% damage bonus, the green circle gave 50% resource cost reduction for your skills, and the blue circle gave you cooldown reduction. Although I would say that this season was fun, it didn't really add or develop any builds to become stronger. For the most part, while we were playing, we were just kind of chasing these circles and hoping that they would spawn. Season 19 took a more interesting approach where you would gain certain powers based on the kill streak that you could keep up. During this season, as long as you had killed a monster within the last 5 seconds, you can keep a kill streak going. The longer your kill streak goes, the more movement speed that you get and more damage that you get. As long as you got enough kills, when the kill streak fell off, a certain effect would happen. This was an interesting season, but it was a little bit stressful. You really wanted to get that kill streak going and you wanted to keep it up, so I kind of always felt like there was a lot of pressure on you. This season really encouraged fast builds and kind of harmed the slower ones because it was a lot easier to keep that kill streak up if you were just flying through rifts. Now, moving into Season 20, this was a really interesting season where any cube slot could hold any type of item. For example, you could use 3 rings in the cube or 3 weapons or 2 weapons in a ring. You didn't have to match the slot to the item like we do now. This was a great season that really encouraged theory crafting and really let us kind of try different builds that we might not have been able to before due to the flexibility that we had in the cube. Although this was a nice season, I would say that it didn't quite compare to Season 16 and 17 when we got the Ring of Royal Grandeur bonus and we got the Legacy of Nightmares bonus. Now, I never played in Season 21, but I did do a bit of research on the season theme, and it looked somewhat interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it was topping any of the prior seasons. Every 90 seconds, you would unleash some kind of elemental power. I'm sure that when it went off, it felt pretty good, but just kind of looking at it and having not played it, I don't really think that it innovated the game or really changed the game in any way for the long term. However, one thing that I am very thankful for in Season 21 was the introduction of the Gears of the Dreadland set for the Demon Hunter. Ever since the introduction of that set into the game, it seems like every single season has a Gears of the Dreadland Demon Hunter for early season farming. I would argue that Season 22 is when things really started to take off. Season 22 had the Shadow Clone theme, which was insane. The Shadow Clone did so much damage, and you had it up pretty often because each time you would hit a shrine or a pylon, you would get a Shadow Clone that would fight beside you. The leveling experience in Season 22 was insane. The idea was go into Torment 6, find shrines, hit them, and watch your shadow clone wreck everything as you power level yourself. This added so much additional power to our characters that allowed us to push higher greater rift tiers than we had ever done before, but it wasn't just because of the shadow clone. Season 22 was also where we got a 4th slot in the cube where we could put any type of item in. I would say that this is the season where power creep really started to show. To add on to the power creep, Season 23 revamped the followers. This was a season where we could completely gear out our followers and also introduce the emanating effect. Prior to this season, we pretty much always had to have a flavor of time to make our builds work, and it was really nice to allow this piece of gear to emanate so that we can try out other amulets. And of course, having the Nemesis bracers and the Oculus ring on your follower is absolutely huge with the emanating effect. This is the season where permanent power creep really started coming into play. I'm really glad that they decided to allow us to keep all of the emanating gear and they didn't just leave it as a season theme. But I would say that Season 23 was somewhat of a disappointment. Although we got all of this emanating gear, which is absolutely great, and they revamped the follower, it was kind of just something that they did to develop the game in general, and it barely felt like a season theme. Season 24, on the other hand, absolutely had a very unique season theme with the Ethereal items. People were so stoked for this season because the Ethereal weapons were absolutely insane. This season also really encouraged us to play every single class and hunt out all of the Ethereals. If you were able to collect every single Ethereal in the game for every class, you would gain them as permanent transmogs for future seasons. This was actually something that I did during Season 24. These 2 weapons here that I have on my monk are the Shadow Killer transmog that I have permanently because I had hunted out every Ethereal during the season. If I'm being totally honest, I would say 9 out of 10 Ethereals look like absolute trash, but there are a few gems in there and it's nice to have them as collectible transmogs. Season 25 is one where I didn't play, but I've heard really good things about it. I was way committed to D2R at that time. If my memory serves me right, I do believe that D2R had launched slightly before Season 25 had came out. I saw a lot of content creators and other players who would play D2R and kind of get through the game, get to a place where they want to be, and then they actually moved over to D3 to try out Season 25. For those who didn't play, the theme of Season 25 was soul shards, where they had different types of shards that you could socket into your helm and other ones that you could socket into your weapon. People generally speak really fondly of this season because it was another one where we just got so much additional power added to our character. This one, on the other hand, did not stick around permanently. Of course, the soul shards did go away after the season ended. Season 26, however, did add something permanent to the game in the form of echoing nightmares. Although I would argue that this, again, similar to the follower revamp, kind of didn't feel like a season theme so much as just kind of in addition to the game. But I will give the developers a break because the Echoing Nightmares are such a quality of life improvement where we can farm out these Whispers of Atonement. The Whispers of Atonement allow us to augment our gear so much more quickly than we could in prior seasons. During Season 26, it was also a phenomenal way to farm Paragon levels. People were constantly grouping up and sharing keys to farm these all day long to get absolutely massive Paragon levels. I will say that I'm happy that they did decide to nerf the Paragon levels that we got from these Echoing Nightmares. However, it would have been nice if they didn't nerf them quite as hard. It still feels like in this game the only way to really farm out Paragon levels is to constantly be doing greater rifts, and it was really nice to have another game mode where we could actually farm them out as well and not just have to spam the same rift over and over and over. Moving into where we are right now, Season 27, you all know it. It is the Angelic Crucible season, and I think it is wonderful. I will say that it has been going on for a little bit too long for my liking, but it added so much to the game. Being able to get a free primal that you can re-roll over and over for perfect stats that also adds this massive power bonus to your character is so much fun. One downside, however, to the Season 27 theme is that it appears that it is completely going away as we move into Season 28. It is nice to have certain seasons like the Echoing Nightmare one and the follower revamp because we actually see some kind of permanent change to the game. So let's go ahead and talk about Season 28. One thing that I would like to see is the introduction of new items that actually carry some of the Angelic Crucible powers that were really popular this season. For example, it would be really nice if the Crusader got some pair of bracers that gave them the Angelic Crucible ability for Fist of the Heavens. There's plenty of other Angelic Crucible powers that I would like to see sticking around and just placed on certain items. I really hope that this is something that Blizzard considers because a lot of people are really enjoying the Angelic Crucible powers. One thing that I would like to see in Season 28 is maybe that Blizzard considers doing a multi-themed season. Go ahead and give us 4 cube slots, shadow clones, ethereal weapons, maybe even bring back the soul shards. A few people have commented on my prior videos saying that they would really like to see some kind of ultimate season where we just gain an absolutely massive amount of power for one season. I think that this would be a great idea leading into Diablo 4. I think that it would encourage a lot of players to come back and kind of stick with the game as we move towards June. Of course, if they choose to do this, it would also be really nice to get some kind of new challenge added to the game. If they're going to give us all this power, I think that something else would need to be introduced to keep us challenged, because if we were getting all of these season buffs at one time, I feel like we would just be speed farming GR 150s with ease. Even if they just cranked up the maximum GR level for one season and gave us all of these powers, I think that that would be really fun. Another thing that I'd like to see in Season 28 is that Blizzard actually considers that list of changes that was developed by Rax and the rest of the Diablo 3 community. This happened earlier in Season 27, but Rax was in contact with the dev team for Diablo 3, and they had actually asked him to put together a list of changes that we would like to see in Diablo 3. The list was absolutely massive though, and I don't expect them to be able to fix everything on there, but it would be nice to see them make an attempt to really change some things in this game. The last note that I want to make about Season 28 is that we need a theme that is going to keep us engaged for more than 1 to 3 weeks. Most people who come back and play Diablo 3 for a season get their gear, maybe clear a GR 100 and call it good, and they don't come back until next season, if at all. Hopefully this theme really keeps us engaged for the full season, because they want people to be playing leading up to Diablo 4. I'm sure this would encourage more people to potentially pre-order the game, or even just have more interest in playing in general. This is going to be a really important season for Blizzard, and so I really hope that they're taking it seriously and using all of this extra time that Season 27 has gone on for to fix some problems in this game and introduce new content. As always, guys, I really appreciate you for tuning in. Go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you would like to see in Season 28. What sort of season theme would you like to see? What kind of bug fixes or problems would you like to see addressed? Go ahead and let me know down below. Really appreciate y'all for watching. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.